Hey, I'm Jake. I make RPG supplements and videos about Pathfinder 2, or Pf2. I love Pathfinder 2. It's an amazing system, and I've played a lot of systems. D&D, sure, 2nd edition, 3rd edition, 5th edition, a little bit of 4th edition, which I didn't really like. Most people didn't. Anyway, Mage, Vampire the Masquerade, Rifts, Heroes, whatever, Deadlands. I've played a lot of stuff. Today I want to talk about Foundry and why I, as a long-time gamer of actual physical tabletops, would and would not use it. So I hope this is useful. Now, I gotta start with the positive that I like the most, the landing page. I don't even know if my players care, but it's fun for me. I made this little collage of a landing page of, you can click on the characters and you can click on the coins and everything goes somewhere. The coins go to a bag of holding. You can click on the maps and it goes to the maps of that region. You can click on the characters and it goes to the characters. It just pulls it up. This is not that difficult to make. Not really at all. And I'm really not tech savvy in general. This was not hard to do. Just took a while. You can even have multiple landing pages, you click companions at the bottom and here's the companions and pets page. Neat. And there's little Nya in his beast form. I love your character. So that's the thing that I love the most about Foundry. Yeah, there are other things I like about it. Mainly what I like is that it has a lot of functions for players. Players can target a monster I have, and they can have their character attack it. Ow. Claws. And they can animate that attack and buffs if they want. And they can have their character sheet and their equipment, and it's easy for them to build a character within Foundry. It's very useful for players. That being said, as the GM, it's less useful. I have made a variety of maps in it, and I've pre-populated them with bad guys and even good NPCs and treasure, which is kind of cool because they can actually double-click on a treasure icon and open it up and they can loot it themselves. That's cool. I don't think I really care, personally. In fact, it took more time to set it up than to say, you find these magic items in the chest that you plunder from the tomb. So I can set up all of these different maps. Cool. There is a lot of functionality and utility within Foundry. However, these all take time. My little Sisters of the Sand scorpion nest scene took a lot of time. If I'm using a different VTT, if I'm using Roll20, heaven forbid, because the connectivity on Roll20 is just shit. But if I'm using Roll20 and I put a map there, it's really fast and easy to put a map on it and resize it manually, just grabbing corners. I can't do that here with Foundry. I, of course, can resize it a few different ways, but it's not as convenient, and it's certainly not as fast. So it's not really conducive to spontaneously coming up with things off the cuff during a session, especially if you're doing a live stream. But in general, during a session. Because it just takes too long. And I'm focusing on this screen for so long, I'm not looking at any players, I'm not interacting with them in any way. The entire world stops so that I can pull out a desert scene and put it on the screen for them. I've found for myself that the best thing I can do in most cases is to skip using Foundry. But that is from a moment-to-moment basis. I still use it, as you see, to have things set up ahead of time for people to more easily access. I can even create my own ancestries in this, and they can, or really easily create feats or magic items, and they can access those. The problem is just time. It takes a lot of time for a GM to be able to do this. If you're never using any homebrew, it's much easier to use Foundry, especially if you're willing to buy all of the modules, because I haven't bought very many modules for this. So when I look up a monster and I try to put it on the map or put it over my saved actors as a monster that I can pull out later, it usually doesn't have a picture. I can add a picture to it manually by going on the internet, finding the picture, downloading it, saving it to a folder inside Foundry, and then applying it to the image of that monster. I'm not exaggerating the steps. It's a few steps. It's still more work than just grabbing a picture from Roll20 or from my folders or something and putting it on Roll20, waiting for it to load, and then say, and you attack it. I'm not trying to say Roll20 is better than Foundry. I'm just not. But there are a couple of functions that I wish were easier and faster in Foundry. And they just happen to be easier and faster on Roll20. But I do love my landing page. There are music features and ambient sound features in Foundry that are cool, but I'm probably only ever going to use them if they come in the adventure that I happen to buy for Foundry. And if I don't want to buy the Foundry module for that adventure, then I'm just not going to get the music. Yeah, I could apply it myself. I could create playlists. You can do anything in Foundry if you're willing to put in the time. Who has the time? Nobody has infinite time. I've got other shit I do in my life. Everyone does. And so while it's cool there are playlists, I'm not really going to use them. And so that feature doesn't mean anything to me. Also, the workspace in Foundry is very limited. As you can see on my screen, I have my tools on the left that I might need to use during combat. I have the encounter tracker on the left, and then I have the map, the battlefield that's actually being used right now. Watch what happens if I pull up a monster to take a turn. I have no more view of the map. That means that if I have more than one type of monster in this encounter, I simply don't have room to balance and juggle all of the windows. It's much easier to have a computer monitor that just has tabs open to different monsters, or even like the game books open as well. Like between game books and tabs, I can have a bunch of stuff open at a time. So why would I pull open the monster in Foundry? In which case, do I need the monster in Foundry? No, I don't. It is still nice that players know, yeah, my thing hit because I know it's AC because the system told me I hit. I mean, you don't know that it's AC, but you know that it hit because the system told you because you targeted it. But so, they could also just say, I hit AC 31, did I hit? And most of the time, if you're the GM, you have memorized a few little facts about the monsters you're using, like their AC and their most pertinent saving throws and their main attack bonus, at least generally. So you probably won't even need to pull it up in Foundry. You'll just be able to look it up on the screen next to it or just remember it. And so that removes some functionality for the player, yeah, but it saves time for the GM. Flip side, as the GM, I can use the tools in Foundry to select a monster and then target a player with an ability that the monster has. So let's say I have that monster selected, and then I hit T to target Chad, the time traveler. Fucking Chad. And right now it's targeted. It's not using any abilities because I don't have them selected. You might be able to see that there are some in an overlay in the upper left, but if I want to be able to see all of them in an easy to click on way, I have to pull up the character sheet again. So these are more steps, more delay. Granted, it's only a few seconds each time, but if I can just completely skip them by looking on another screen and rolling physical dice, the game is much smoother. It's just a better experience for everybody. And I never have just one kind of monster. In fact, if you have monsters and NPCs, I have, 3 NPCs on this screen, plus pets that I also help move around, and one monster, only one monster. I don't want to spend the time moving everybody around and doing all their actions on the screen when I can just roll a bunch of dice all at once and say these things happened. And I even make notes with a pencil and paper still. It's just faster and easier than using Foundry. It's sad, but as cool and pretty as Foundry is, and as much utility as it has, and as versatile as it is, I don't care. I can't care. It's pretty, but I don't have the time. I have to do things that are going to make it flow better, work better, and take less time in my life. Yes, I love you. Hold on. My biggest complaint with Foundry is the map thing. I can't just like drag a picture onto the screen and resize it manually and it's quickly ready to go. I just can't. There's no function to do that. You have to go over to scenes, create a scene, and then go into the settings, upload the background image and a foreground image if you want, save them to that scene, change the size by pixel in the settings. There are a lot of functions. It's very useful. Like you can do a lot of things. I can even affect like lighting and sound. There's a bunch of functions for both of those things. Like I can even have it sound like you're moving further away from ambient sounds or music or something. But it's so much time. I'm just not going to do it. So the two things I like most about it are I can do a fancy landing page to say, welcome to the game. You can click on things to see what was last done in the last session. Or I can just tell you. Or you can click on this other screen to pull up other people's character sheets that they might not want you to pull up. Or you could pull up your own character sheet through my landing interface. Or you could have just gone over to the actor's screen and clicked the button for your character. So the landing page isn't really necessary. I just like it. It's pretty. I guess it feels like a welcome mat. Like, welcome to the game. You're here now. It feels like a statement. You have entered the world. So I like a landing page. And the other thing I like about it is, as a content creator, it's extremely useful to look up a variety of things. Like it has all the stuff that Archives of Nethys does in even more user-friendly, searchable fields. Like I can easily search by a variety of traits at once from multiple sources or all the sources. It's easier to click on and interact with and quickly get just the information I need in Foundry instead of Archives. It's just slightly different displays, slightly different options. It's easier for me to make a script out of specific types of spells that either have keywords or that have traits that are the same traits, or I can pull up like multiple traits at once. I know, but a lot of that functionality is in Archives too. But in Foundry, it's just slightly more expansive and slightly easier to narrow down. So it just has a little bit more usage broadly in general, at the upper level and the lower level. So that's what I have to say about Foundry. If you disagree with me, cool, please tell me your complaints and the things that you love about Foundry and what you use it for, or other VTTs. I'm going to keep using Foundry because it works well for my players. It makes their experience in my game easier for them to track, and I think more pretty and fun for them, I think. Not really sure. But for me on my side, I have consistently moved further and further away from using Foundry's mechanics because it just takes too long and my brain doesn't function that fast. Like, I can think quickly in story mode, but once I am looking at a map, it's like I am confined to what I see. It is difficult for me to pull my head out of the screen and be in the clouds again. And going back and forth is really hard too. So it just doesn't work well for me, for my method of thinking, I guess. And I hope that it works well for all of you, but it won't. There are things about it that are really cool, but mostly for the player. For GMs that have infinite time, you can go crazy in this and have a blast. It's fun just setting it up and then seeing like magically everything gets tracked for you. That's cool. You can set up macros and stuff too. If you learn the coding of the game, the rules system in Foundry, then you can create anything you want. I'm having trouble changing the name of a claw strike to a tail strike. Why is that so hard? But it is. So that's my 2 cents. It's more like $20 worth. It's not just 2 cents. It's everything I can think of about it. If you want to see how to construct a landing page, let me know. If you have more questions about Foundry, put it in the comments below. I'll be happy to get to them. If you just want Loot to have more treats, let him know. I'll love that. Thank you for spending your time with me, and thank you if you're a patron. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate your help with the channel, and Loot appreciates the treats. Yes. If you want to be a patron too, you can see the link in the description below for Patreon. You can support the channel for as little as $5 a month, or go all the way for $50 a month, and I'll create stuff for you. If you want to slave for a month, let me know. And at the $50 level, you also get dice every month, because Storm makes dice, my girlfriend. And she makes a lot of really cool, freaking awesome looking dice, including liquid cores, and giant dice, and sparkly complex dice, and I write stories for them, and that's fun too. If you want to make sure to catch the next video I make, hitting the subscribe button is a good way to do that. If you think you know somebody who might be interested in this topic, share it with them, please, so this can go on to more people. If you liked the video, let me know with a like button. If you hated the video, let me know with a no like button. It's called a hate, I think. Yeah, you click the hate. It's in there somewhere. If you want to see the live streams that I've had, that's a cool, fun series to watch. And also the build videos. I love my build videos. Have fun watching the builds. I try to put as rich history and backstory as I can. Enjoy. Thank you.